Hi everyone, this is Anna of Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be creating some cute toy-themed projects using nesting or infinity dies. I am hoping this video will inspire you to look at your nesting dies in creative ways. Of course, you can create these projects without dies, but I will explain later why I prefer using them. Though this video will be mostly about how I created the tag-shaped gift card holder, I have details at the end of the video on how I created these two other toy-themed cards. Before I begin, here is the tag I created. This is both a card and a gift card holder all in one. There is a tab at the bottom of the tag which you can pull out to reveal a gift card tucked inside. I created this to give to my nephew for his birthday, who is both an avid reader and a cuber. I thought it perfect to combine his two favorites in one. Here are the dies I used to create this tag. I used the Hero Arts Infinity Nesting Hexagon die set. I used one of the dies to cut the top and the bottom of the tag. I also used the Hero Arts Infinity Nesting Square die set to create the base of the cube and the small squares. I rummaged through my scraps of colored cardstock for the colors I will need to create my Rubik's Cube. I used a 2.5-inch square die to cut out the base of the Rubik's Cube out of black cardstock, and the 3/4-inch square die to cut out the small squares out of different colors of cardstock. I die cut 3 black squares and stacked them on top of each other to create stability to the base. I did the same for the smaller squares. The reason why I like to use dies to cut shapes is that the dies create this beveled edge, which gives it a more realistic and dimensional appearance. The small die-cut squares had sharp edges, but those in an actual Rubik's Cube have slightly rounded edges. So I took my scissors and snipped a little bit off the corners of each of the little squares. After cutting off the corners of the small squares, I laid them out on the black base. I made sure the colors were placed in random order and no two colors were next to each other. I took my jewel picker and used it to pick up each square while I placed small beads of glue underneath. This picker is a useful tool to make adhering each square much easier. I also used it to fix the alignment, and because I used liquid glue, I had some time to finesse it a little before it dried. To create the gift card holder tag, I took a top folding 3-inch by 4.25-inch card base. I also cut out a decorative piece using the same measurement as the card base. This will be the background for my Rubik's Cube. Then, I also cut a piece of cardstock measuring 2.5 by 4.25 inches. I also cut 2 small strips measuring 2 3/4 by 1/4 inch. I also cut a piece measuring 2.5 by 1 inch, which will be the pocket for my gift card. I used craft foam instead of foam tape for this, as I didn't have foam tape thin enough, as you will see later on in the video. To create the tag shape, I took the 4th hexagon die from the biggest one in the set and placed the flat part of that die a little off the top of the fold. I centered the die at the middle and made sure that the cutting edge did not touch the fold of my card. Then I secured it with washi tape before taking it to my die cutting machine. To cut off only the upper part of the tag, I placed the top plate only at the very top part of the tag. Where the plate is placed is where the die will cut into the paper. This is what it looks like after I die cut it. To die cut the bottom part of the tag, I used the same die but placed the pointed part and aligned it in the middle. I secured it with washi and took it back to my die cutting machine. Then I did the same for the decorative piece. Before I assembled the gift card holder mechanism, I first punched out a hole at the top where the ribbon will be placed. I used the slot hole puncher which I purchased from my local office supply store. To create the card holder mechanism, I took the two thin strips measuring 2 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch and adhered it to the top part of the cardstock piece that measured 2.5 by 4.25 inches. After I adhered the two thin strips, I placed the pull-out tab onto my tag base just to double check that the end of the tab was leveled to the end of the fishtail. This is where I will adhere the thin strips of craft foam. But before I do that, I will take the craft foam and cut it to fit the top part of the tag. I aligned the craft foam and with my scissors, I cut it into the shape of the tag. Then I used the puncher to punch out a hole. I took some strong liquid glue to adhere the foam to the tag. The glue that I'm using is art glitter glue, which works really well with craft foam. To create the channel for the slide-out mechanism, I cut a very thin strip of craft foam and adhered it to the sides of the tag. If you do not have craft foam or thin foam tape, you can use strips of cardstock scraps, layered thick enough for the mechanism to slide in and out easily. I snipped off any excess hanging off the bottom. I made sure that the strips were glued on straight. Then I did the same for the other side. To create a stopper, I cut out two small, thin strips of foam. I took those small, thin strips and adhered it to the bottom part of the tag. I made sure that the tabs still fit comfortably within the strips of foam. These strips will stop the pull-out mechanism from coming out completely. Then, I placed a generous amount of glue all over the areas with the foam, making sure that I did not get any on the pull-out mechanism. I placed the background panel on top, aligning it carefully with the tag. To create the pocket for the gift card, I took the piece measuring 2.5 by 1 inch, placed glue only at the sides and at the bottom, and adhered it to the bottom of the pull-out mechanism. Then, to test the mechanism, I inserted a gift card into the pocket and made sure that the tab slid in and out easily. Here's another look at the tag-shaped gift card holder. I white heat embossed the sentiment "Happy Birthday" on a black strip of cardstock and adhered it to the top left-hand side. For a finishing touch, I added coordinating ribbons. Here's another card I made with a Lego theme, also using infinity nesting dies. For this card, I used the Hero Arts rectangle infinity dies. For the rectangular Lego blocks, I used the 3/4 inch by 2 inch rectangle die. And for the round pegs, I used my hole puncher. I hole punched each color several times and used a little plastic tray to organize all the little bits. For the single row Lego block, I simply cut the double row ones in half. For the square block, I used the same die from the one in the Rubik's Cube. I used the jewel picker to adhere the little pegs to the blocks. This made it a lot easier to align. I added about 2 to 3 layers to make it look dimensional. Once I finished creating all the blocks, I puzzle pieced them onto a card front. I added a happy die cut from the Hero Arts Happy Thanks Stampin' Cut and paper pieced each letter in rainbow order. The word birthday is also from the same Stampin' Cut set. Here's another card I made inspired by the game Jenga. I used the Hero Arts wood grain infinity die set for this. If you'd like to see the details on how I created this, I have it all in my blog post linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you were inspired. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed my video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Till next time, bye!